In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, every time we light our chalice, we mark that we are in a sacred time, a time apart from time, for celebration, commemoration, and worship. You could join me in reading the words printed in your order of service. A human life is sacred. It is sacred in its being born. It is sacred in its living. It is sacred in its dying. If you could join me for our opening prayer. God of grace and tender mercies, be with us and bless us gathered here. The curtain of death has fallen between us and the one we love. Give us the strength and the wisdom we need for this hour, the strength to face and endure our enormous loss, and the wisdom to rise above our grief and find ample thanksgiving for life. God who gives us life and receives us when our life is over, keep us and comfort us now. Your goodness is our strength. Your purpose is our hope. May our confidence in your goodness and our faith in your purpose be unwavering. My name is Reverend Valerie Friesman, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you here to the Unitarian Universalists of Southold for this celebration of the life of Jean Schwanke. When we experience grief, it feels for a time as if love itself has become unmoored. While we cannot transform those emotions completely, we can give them honor by taking the opportunity to celebrate with gratitude the lessons that have been given to us through the person we have lost. Jean had an adventurous spirit. He taught his children by example, whether it was in the way they were allowed to learn how to drive with fewer guardrails than many would think practical, or in the way he set about applying his skills and talents. For Jean, experience was the best teacher. Curiosity served as a driving force for him. His aptitude for computers and mechanical things and for the way things fit together were seen in a variety of occupations. For one important phase of his career, he worked with FEMA, designing systems to help communities in the wake of natural disasters. That curiosity about fixing and fitting things together, it also extended to designing and renovating homes. He compensated for a somewhat landlocked upbringing by showing an aptitude and love of the ocean, pursuing sailing and water sports and taking pleasure in the beauty of nature. Gene was also a keen performer as a musician and as an actor. Renaissance man is a phrase I have heard his loved ones say to me over and over. But the Renaissance man in Gene was one whose interest and orientation was always to making life better for other people. This showed up both in mundane ways, such as the way he enjoyed trying out new recipes for other people to enjoy, to the numerous ways he experienced others' joy, and the joy he took in that. Gene took in all kinds of people and experiences, meeting life with a sense of confidence and openness. It is that spirit we recall, honor, and celebrate today. May all that is remembered today and in the time to come live on in those who loved him.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for making it out from near and far. I'm Carlos Garcia, Gene's stepson. I'm the son of A. Young, his wife when he passed away, his third wife, and I think the one who was with him perhaps the longest, the love of his life in that way, and with whom he made a wonderful life for 42 years. And that ended not so long ago with her being, by far his number one, his caretaker, who was really with him through thick and thin, and particularly at the end when he was not his strongest. I met Gene when I was a teenager, and the way I met him was like opening my eyes in my bed, and his face was facing mine. He was in the trundle bed that came from underneath my bed. And I guess he was deposited there in the middle of the night, unbeknownst to me. And there I was, staring at this handsome guy with white hair, and wondering who the heck he was. He was an alumnus of Knox College, which is where my mom went to college. And though they didn't meet there because they didn't overlap, they had met at an alumni event with my mom's dear friend, Christine, her college buddy. They all had gone to this alumni event, had a good time. I think perhaps time went on after the thing was over. Gene had driven in from out of town. By the time they got to the garage, he was shut out. He couldn't get to his car. So Robert and Christine slept in the living room. My mother slept in her room, and Gene and I slept together. He lived a long and fruitful life. 4 beautiful children who are all, thank God, here. David, Mary, John, Ann. Then there's me and my brother Chris. And he's got, I will mention, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. He has another child, who's also my son, which I would say would be Michael, his first adopted son, who later became my adopted son. 3 granddaughters who all have kids, Laurie, Jenny, and Megan. 9 grandchildren, 6, I hope I have these numbers right, great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren, who he had the chance to meet earlier this year. I think it was in January or February, where he took a lovely road trip and drove him down, and they had time together too in the car, back and forth. Gene grew up in a rural farming community. I'm going to just mention a few things about him. Some things have been mentioned and others will be mentioned yet again. He did marry his college sweetheart, Nan, who recently passed away. We were there for that lovely, lovely service. He became a father when he was in college. One of those photos that flashes on the screen, and you'll be seeing the photos later today too, shows him at age like 20 in college, holding David, right? Yeah, if you can imagine that. He was extremely intelligent, great at math, constantly expanding his vocabulary through just an obsession with crossword puzzles, which he became expert at. A little known fact outside of his family is that he was right there at the advent of the supercomputer era, when supercomputing became a thing. It's been mentioned, was good with his hands. He built his own house. A lot of people have worked on their own house, but they haven't built it. And he taught, I witnessed on multiple occasions Gene teach another man often, person, how to operate their own sailboat. That was fascinating to see. Something I knew very little about, and the person would typically say, why don't you just take over, Gene? Let's get there quicker. He loved jazz music. We will hear some jazz music later today. He was a great example of an intellectually curious person with a completely adventuresome, a little bit naughty love of life and a wonderful sense of humor. I once spent a year trying to be like Gene with regard to joke telling, and I mastered maybe about 4 of his jokes, and I told them again and again at the most, irrelevant moments where somebody goes, why'd you tell that joke now? Whereas what Gene could do is, unlike some joke tellers who want to tell a particular joke, Gene would just allow the conversation to flow where it might, and then tell the appropriate, applicable, relevant joke. That's how broad his repertoire was, and he was never without a joke to tell. Really, truly, the best joke teller I've ever known, honestly. I don't think I've known a better one. He also had a very natural way of being at ease with people from all walks of life. And as 2 little brown boys, as Chris and I were when he came into our life, I gotta say, that was awesome. I don't think that we probably appreciated it as much when we were growing up as we realize now. It was an amazing thing. He did it with ease, and it wasn't just with us. All kinds of people, wherever you might come from or look like, or what you got or what you don't got. I don't think it really mattered to him. He absolutely adored Aya. All right? And when we would ask him how he did it, because, she's a challenging person. He would say, I didn't say she's not great or awesome or lovable, I just said challenging. And he would say, total capitulation. That was the key. My mother, speaking of her, used to tell me that I talk too much. And that what she wanted was the strong, silent type. The sort of person who would let his actions speak for him. Eugene Schwanke was such a man.
It's a hard act to follow, Carlos.
daughter, the second of Jean's kids. Sorry. I thought I had it together. He loved the sea. He loved sailing. He taught us how to sail. My partner Amy and I haven't sailed because of him. It's a big part of our life. I miss him. I have 2 poems to read related to the sea. I'll do my best to get through them, I'm sorry. I take after my mother, I'm a crier.
And your father.
And him too. Yeah, yeah. The first is one he loved, and many people know, by John Masefield, Sea Fever. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick, and the wind's song, and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face, and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call, and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and a flung spray, and the blown spume, and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the sea again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. He was good at jokes and yarns, and he had some amazingly fun and funny and naughty limericks that he told us all the time. The other poem I'd like to read is by Alfred Lord Tennyson, Crossing the Bar. And the bar in this case is not the kind of bar that Dad loved to visit. And we all inherited that love. But the sandbar, okay, it's the sandbar. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and the evening bell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. Thank you.
Jean's step-granddaughter, but he was my grandfather, and I loved him dearly. So I will be singing At Last by Etta James, or sung by Etta James. I've sung the song for him a few times, and I like to think that he enjoyed it. So I'll sing it for you guys today. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. At last, the skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at that I could call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I have never known. Whoa, you smile, you smile. Oh, and then a spell was cast, for here we are in heaven, for you are mine at last.
Wow, Maya. That was beautiful. One more time for Maya. Thanks, everybody, for being here to celebrate Gene and for the roles that you all played in his life, which I know were incredibly meaningful to him. And thank you to the church and Reverend Valerie and the staff, everybody for having us here today. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Garcia. I am Gene's last child, second stepchild, Carlos's younger brother. And I came here from Los Angeles with my wife Grace and my children Camila, Oscar, and Giselle. Gene and my mother, A. Young, met when I was 12. I had my own bedroom, so I didn't wake up to his face. But I was there. You know, on the surface, I'd say Gene and I really had just about nothing in common. He was an older, wise gentleman who grew up on a farm and could do just about everything, from math and computers, building homes, as was mentioned, playing sports, sailing boats. He really was a Renaissance man, absolutely. Whereas I was, a punk kid from the city, didn't know much of anything, and had never really known life of any kind with a true father, or father figure even. But we got along great from the start and right on through. Gene and my mom were in love. Gene became a part of the family quickly. It certainly helped in his case that Carlos and I could see that our mother had found a partner for life. But Gene did his part too, by being a calm and strong, yet gentle presence in our home. And of course, fixing broken stuff all the time. There's plenty of it. Mornings were NPR and the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Evenings were classical music, a stiff drink, and stories. Oh, the stories. I once heard that every story made somebody smile. Well, in Gene's case, every story made everyone smile, if also cringe every now and again. Gene could weave a tale like nobody's business, and had one for seemingly every occasion, as Carlos mentioned. He was really a walking encyclopedia of humor. Sure, he ran afoul of the PC police on occasion, but we gave him the benefit of the doubt always, and not only out of respect. I'd like to share some of my reflections on why that was the case. Recently, Carlos, his wife Lucinda, and I were sharing a few stories and anecdotes with Reverend Valerie. And Carlos mentioned something that resonated with me instantly We've seen Gene, in all our days, he never slighted another person in any type of discriminatory manner, which I would imagine is no small task for a white man born in 1932. Indeed, Gene was a righteous man in all things that relate to community in the broadest sense. And he had a lot to say about race and equity, but he climbed no soapboxes and had no scratches to itch. He was just himself, intellectually curious, extremely progressive, gentle and nuanced, and in his own way, was the truest of role models. I'd like to finish by saying that Gene was a soulful dude. His emotions ran deep, and for such a tough guy, he was capable of crying at the drop of a hat. That's the truth. When something moved him, and things often did. They were always tears of joy, by the way, whether he was listening to a story about someone lending a helping hand or simply listening to music he loved. I remember him once saying that the most perfect male vocal recording he had ever heard was For All We Know by Donny Hathaway, which was a revelation to me in many ways. I find these lyrics in particular to be fitting for this occasion. We won't say goodnight until the last minute. I'll hold out my hand and my heart will be in it. Please enjoy an interpretive dance to For All We Know, performed by my daughter, Giselle Tang Garcia, AKA Gigi, and dedicated to Gene, AKA Pop Pop.
Can't see, please do feel free to close the stand out. No one is.
Not the most high-tech solution, but you know, Gene's not here to fix things.
We may never meet again. Before you go, make this moment sweet again. We won't say goodnight
that. Well done, Gigi. Oh, and I'm Jean's baby daughter, Anne, and I inherited the crying gene as well. And we just had a funeral for my mom last month, and when it comes to the four Schwankes all crying, we had to draw straws. I drew the short straw last month, and somehow I drew it again this month. I'm beginning to think it's rigged. Anyway, I reigned as the baby of the Schwanke family for almost 20 years until Jean brought a young Chris and Carlos into our lives. And finally, I had two younger siblings to boss around. So the memories I'm gonna share are about the years before a young Carlos and Chris became our family. But I don't mean to exclude them because they are forever part of our family story, you and your children and grandchildren. But this reflection is meant to give you a glimpse of an earlier Jean. Let's just call it the Jean Schwanke prequel. So at this point, you've all heard about how he was a Renaissance man, and Carlos talked about him being a young father. I don't know if you understand what that means, being a young father. I mean, he's 20 years old, he's still a fraternity brother. He's still having keggers and weenie roasts in the woods behind the farmhouse while our mom was taking care of the babies inside the farmhouse. And that youth afforded two things in this life. One, that he carried that youthful enthusiasm into his fatherhood. And that made us kids feel like we were part of an adventurous pack, not the dutiful children of a patriarch. Secondly, it allowed Dad to really know and enjoy not just his grandchildren, but his great-grandchildren too. And as Carlos had mentioned, he even got to meet his great-great-grandson Asher in January. And it brought such a sparkle to his eye. It was really moving. Another thing that I don't think you know about Jean is that he liked a bit of mischief. When he was in college, he and his fraternity brothers somehow managed to get a cow up into the bell tower at Knox College. I'm sure there wasn't any drinking involved in this. And then after college, Mom and Dad moved to Connecticut with their babies, and that's where Dad found a pack of boy men to help him continue his youthful pranks. Too many to list here, but the granddaddy of them all was the night they conspired to steal the Kelly family's toilet. This was such a complicated caper that I regret not having taken copious notes along with a detailed map charting out the movements of the night. It ultimately turned into a tale of 3 toilets, and I'm not sure anyone involved was ever certain they wound up with their original commode at the end of it all. But as it really wasn't the mischief that was so compelling. It was the way Dad spun it into an hour-long tale, telling it around the dinner table, interrupted only by his very own uncontrollable laughter as he relived that night. This was a story we would ask him to tell over and over again at the dinner table. And oh, that I could hear that story one more time. Another thing you might not know about Jean, I mean, Carlos alluded to his sense of adventure. He was a bold risk taker who liked to drive fast and break some rules along the way. He led us on outdoor adventures through the Connecticut countryside, and summertime meant swimming in the Hop River just down from the house. There's an American saying that warns children against blindly following friends into trouble.
Well, if Billy jumped off a bridge, would you jump off that bridge too? Well, in our house, we didn't have to worry about Billy. It was Dad we had to worry about. And our resounding response was, heck yeah. My first bridge jump was when I was 5 years old. David, Mary, and John had been following Dad off that bridge for years at that point. And then we moved to Pennsylvania in 1970, and the river was replaced by a quarry nearby with 20-foot, 30-foot cliffs dropping down to the water. That is where the cool teenagers hung out. And Dad, being Dad, decided he wanted to see where all the fun was. So after watching the teenagers take turns hesitantly leaping feet first into the water, Dad confidently stepped to the edge of the cliff and did a perfect swan dive into the quarry, wowing and humbling all the cool kids there and leaving us kids pretty proud. So I will close the Gene Schwanke prequel by pointing out that as much as I've painted him as being a little reckless, he was a great dad. He gave us the freedom and space in which to take risks and build our very own confidence. I always felt safe with him. Well, except that one time when he sailed us directly into a storm at sea. But we'll leave that tale for a later telling around the dinner table with future generations. Thank you all for coming today.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Song, or Mike. I was Gene and A. Young's grandson, I still am, and Carlos and Lucinda's son. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody who was able to make it to this celebration of life for my grandfather. I am aware that many of you have traveled quite a distance or made strenuous efforts in order to be here. Our family is grateful that you would take this time to honor his legacy and memory with us today. As many of you know, I became the adopted son of Eugene and A. Young in 2002 and became their grandson in 2004. I had been in the New York City foster care system for some time before I met my now grandmother, who our family affectionately calls Manya, and of course, Papa, or Gramps, or Dad, for that matter. I've called him all three. I'm honored to have this opportunity to speak about the faith and open-heartedness my grandfather embodied throughout his life. When I speak of faith in the context of my grandfather, I don't necessarily mean religious or even spiritual faith. His faith was in people, in all of us. Faith in our ability to become the best versions of ourselves through hard work, discipline, and grit. One of my fondest memories of his faith in me occurred the summer I learned to get over my fear of the water. I'm going to cut to the chase. Teaching me to swim was a bit of an ordeal. A slightly underweight orphan from inner city New York was not the spitting image of someone destined to be particularly buoyant. I think it took the entire summer of 2003 for me to get 100% comfortable in the water. One afternoon in mid-July, just like it is now, Gramps, a close neighbor and friend who some of you may know, Jeffrey Lamon, and Manya made it their sole mission to see to it, that I overcame my fear of the water. For about 6 hours, Gramps made sure that morale never fell too low. Waded in and out of the small creek that lies at the foot of Goose Creek Lane in order to ease my fears and provide as much fatherly encouragement as he could muster. Conservatively, I'd had about a half a dozen false starts, ending after several hours with me full to bursting with frustration tears, balled up fists, and I'd only managed to wade into waist-deep water. Gramps never lost faith in me, never raised his voice, continued to smile through that iconic soup strainer mustache, motioning for me to join him. I can remember waiting for the sting of a sting of him to say something like, "Toughen up," or "Why can't you be more like Jeffrey?" He never did. Although I was still certain the murkiness of Goose Creek would reach out and pull me in, never to be seen again, something came over me as the sun set over the sound. Perhaps it was watching my friend jump so easily in and out of the water, or if it was Gramps' relaxed tone as he effortlessly treaded water only meters away from me. Maybe it was Manya on the shore, camera in hand, documenting my struggle. Somehow, someway, I suddenly managed to sink my chest into the water, push off of the bottom, and propel myself towards him. When I reached him, he asked me, "Wasn't so bad, huh?" I may or may not have burst into tears of relief. I learned two important things that day. Firstly, that I love the water. And secondly, that belief in oneself is just as important as the faith others bestow upon you. A delicate internal balance between these two related but different concepts is how we overcome our most difficult challenges. After my first and what was supposed to be my only weekend with Gramps and Manya, it came time for my biological father to return for me. Long story short, and as you can see, he never came back. Recently, my grandmother shared an anecdote about my grandfather with me that I had not heard before. After it became clear my biological father might not be coming back for me, New York City social services representatives were responsible for placing me back into the foster care system. Manya asked whether or not there was going to be a Korean-speaking advocate for me upon my arrival to the social services housing for wards of the state. The simple answer was no. Petrified that I would be lost in the maelstrom of New York City social services, she called Gramps. When she called, he was still tirelessly working to install communication capacities at Ground Zero in the wake of the 2001 terrorist attacks. After having only known me for maybe a few weeks, after the tragedies he must have seen and felt in the days and weeks following 9/11, he remained open-hearted, had room for love, and an intrinsic understanding of my grandmother's intentions. In the midst of the chaos and turmoil unfolding around him, he chose to take a chance on me. It is hard to believe that this single brief phone call decided my fate all of those years ago. Words cannot express how grateful I am that he took that chance. He never ceased to have faith in me or in us. Love and miss you. Sorry.
Not meant to be. Oh, hold it in. Okay, good idea. Okay, I am going to share some reflections on the concept of gratitude, which is what I've been feeling more than fully for a long time in my life, but especially now, more than ever. Okay, so gratitude, what does it mean, and what does it look like? First of all, to me, gratitude is this incredible feeling I'm feeling right now, deeply and truly. And it looks like you. Gratitude looks like you. Each one of you who has made this long journey to be here on this very hot day, very special, very hot day. I am truly, filled with gratitude. I'm grateful especially to Reverend Valerie and to the beautiful UU community here in Southold, the community that Jean and I kind of accidentally became members of about 30 some years ago and have felt very close to since that time. I'm grateful for every day the sun rises and sets, whether or not I can see it. I'm grateful for family, my parents and all my ancestors who had a part in my creation, for the precious family that I gave birth to, for the amazing family that I have chosen and who chose me. I'm grateful for my cozy little bed, my candles, my incense, the bells and chimes I have gathered traveling around the world, all the dream catchers bringing light into my home. Food for the food at my table, for the farmers and workers who make it all possible. I'm grateful for music, for jazz, reggae, flamenco, and all the amazing music makers and artists that I've come to know. For all the healers, visionaries, and peacemakers in the world, without whom we simply could not take another breath. Last but not least, I'm especially grateful for the ability to give and to receive love that is deep, lasting, unconditional. I'm eternally grateful for the amazing affection, respect, and laughter Jean and I shared for 42 and a half years, nourishing, teaching, and uplifting each other for those extraordinary, amazing last 42 years, 42 and a half. And I'm especially incredibly grateful for every one of you who is in this room today. This is my community, my family, and my home. This is what gratitude means to me, and you are what it looks like. Thank you.
If you could join me as we sing the hymn, the insert words are in your order of service, Amazing Grace. Yes, if you'd all stand if you would, as you're willing and able.
I
May the light that was Jean's life burn brightly and joyously in our hearts. Let us carefully tend that flame as we honor him with the precious gift of our memory and love.
Thanks, everybody. That's our service. We are going to, well, first of all, thank you once again for coming. Thank you, Reverend Valerie. Thank you to the UU of Southold community, UU Church. Thank you so much. As we've got a lot more time together, I just wanted to describe how this could go down. One thing is that we love this space here so much that we're going to transform it. You will need to exit it. I'll talk to you about that a little bit more. In order for us to do that, we'll ask you then to return to this space where there will be tables and chairs and the opportunity to commune together and eat together. We have some lovely Mediterranean food from Hellenic, right in Orient Point, which is an establishment that's been around and a long time. It's going to take good care of us. So in an orderly, mellow, chill fashion, we would ask you to consider maybe leaving this space, most likely this way, to grab a drink. If you're in a real rush to go to the bathroom, you might want to go that way. There's also one bathroom in the lobby area. There are two behind us. This is somewhat of a circular space behind us that goes around like that. And maybe, it's not so bad outside with your cool drink. Take a minute to be outside, get some fresh air. I think we need maybe 20 minutes?
20 minutes maybe? Yeah.
20 minutes or so.
But beforehand, yes, we'll ring the bell to,
The dinner bell.
yes. But before we go, please give a hand for Charlotte, our pianist. Dad adored Charlotte's music every Sunday. That was a real special thing for him, so thank you.
Thank you.